2021 is shaping up to be the year of heroes. It's barely May, and we've already had the return of the Arrowverse, the debut of Zack Snyder's Justice League, and soon we'll have 4 Marvel movies and a slew of Disney Plus shows releasing later this year. We've already had the mind-bending sitcom WandaVision, the return of the Big Blue Boy Scout with Superman and Lois, the emotional thriller of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and of course, let's not forget UA School for Gifted Youngsters. And yet, as much as I love all of these shows, none of them holds a candle to Invincible. Now you might be asking, Mike, what is Invincible? Well, it's based on the Robert Kirkman comic book of the same name, and it follows a young superhero by the name of Mark Grayson. Now, admittedly, I have not read Invincible, so I'm going to need a little bit of help from my good friend Clifford Hopkins of the Splash podcast, and of course his channel, Cliff Reacts, to kind of explain what Invincible is actually all about. So, yeah, without further ado, take it away, Cliff. Tell us a little bit about Invincible.
When ordinary teenager Mark Grayson finally inherits the powers similar to his father, Omni-Man, he begins his journey into becoming a superhero. But after one life-altering event, he learns everything is a lie. And now, on top of learning to live a life with relationships and intimate relationships, he now has to tackle the question of what it means to be a superhero. Along the way, he'll meet his greatest friends, his closest allies, and his greatest enemies, and sometimes those allies and enemies are one and the same. And on top of that, he'll also witness the most insane battles of his life, because let's be real, Mark isn't a good fighter, but his will and determination is what makes him interesting. And in terms of fights, there's so much more to come. But overall, Mark's journey is full of action, suspense, colorful characters and worlds, and a sprawling story that I think is just as good, if not better, than some of the classic DC and Marvel stories we've seen and heard about to this day. And just like any adaptation of anything, yes, there are things that are different. For example, the final fight in the season finale, that is expanded a little bit more. They travel different locations, like the subway is not in the final part of the book. The Hail Mary from the previous episode, the giant monster, that's not in there either. That's not in the comics either. But yeah, there's a lot of things that have been slightly altered to fit a TV format. But overall, the story has been pretty faithful, especially in the main parts. Robot story is still pretty much happening the same way it happens in the book. Monster Girls is happening pretty similarly. Where Explode, a lot of these characters, Immortal comes back the same way. Like, a lot of it still is pretty faithful to the comic book. So if you want to check out Invincible, check it out. Watch the show, read the books, and I'll pass it back to you, Mike.
Thanks so much for the assist, Cliff. And yeah, as you said, the big draw here is Mark developing those relationships, right? How he's able to interact with different heroes, different classmates, different family members, and how all that kind of encompasses who he becomes as a character. These three-dimensional characters around Mark make the world feel alive. And him being able to bounce off of them is one of the biggest draws of the series, and honestly, his relationships make him more endearing as a character. Mark is an instantly likable character. Much like other teenage superheroes, he struggles with balancing his personal life and balancing his hero life. That duality is handled beautifully, and it's in such a way that would make even Stan Lee proud. Mark isn't the toughest guy or even the most popular, but Steven Yeun's performance makes the character feel relatable. And again, those relationships really give us a lot to digest. We have plenty of characters close to Mark. His mother, Debbie, is honestly one of the show's highlights. She brings an honest and frankly, it's a tragic look at the superhero world. How does it feel to be the wife and mother of two of the strongest beings in the universe, and yet you yourself are entirely powerless? That is honestly an angle we rarely see in this medium, and I'm so glad the show puts added focus on how she processes everything. Then, like Cliff said, we have Monster Girl and Robot, two characters that are fantastic here, and I can't wait to see what they do with them next season. Cecil, someone who is a major player, and he just takes over every scene that he's in. Then, of course, we have Adam Eve, Mark's classmate and superhero confidant. We also meet Amber, Mark's girlfriend, who actually has an expanded role in the series.
Sometimes it's for the better, but sometimes it's also for the worse.
Invincible is that rare 40-plus minute animated series, and that really allows the show to develop its characters. That's why we can have smaller moments, more intimate moments between Mark and his mother Debbie, or even his girlfriend Amber. Allowing the show that extra padding, that extra time to breathe and really get to develop the characters is what makes Invincible special. Instead of just relegating them to the mom or the girlfriend, they actually feel like people. And that is one of the strengths of Invincible. The story structure allows someone like Omni-Man to really shine. Nolan is one of the most interesting characters in the entire series, and J.K. Simmons absolutely crushes this role. And I can't wait to see what they do with this character in future seasons. He and Mark's relationship is such an interesting plot point, and the dichotomy between those two is just a joy to watch. Now, the show does have its flaws. At times, the animation can look cheap, and you can clearly tell that they use the same flight animation throughout the episodes. Obviously, these are tactics to help them save a little bit of money, which is understandable, and you can clearly tell that the money goes to their fight scenes. My God, those fight scenes are incredible. The show makes you feel scared whenever a fight breaks out. The action is gruesome, bloody, and downright disturbing. But it never feels gratuitous. It's showcasing how powerful these enhanced individuals are and just how weak an average human is in comparison. The characters, story, and action all make Invincible one of the best shows of the year and the most well-rounded superhero series of 2021. Thankfully, the show is getting a second and third season because I can't wait to see what else they have in store. If you're not like me and you don't want to wait for Invincible Season 2, you can always read Invincible on Comixology, Prime Reading, and of course pick it up at your local comic book store. Thanks again to Cliff for helping me out with this video. I have his channel and his podcast linked in this description below, so make sure you check him out and give him a subscribe. He really deserves it. He has great stuff there. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and share this video with a friend who hasn't seen Invincible. Maybe this will let them know that, hey, they need to start watching Invincible. It's really good, especially while we have a little break between Marvel shows. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and as always, stay flaming. Peace.